Bernstein. We have some good news on the Omicron variant front. South Africa's noticeable drop in new COVID-19 cases in recent days may signal that the country's dramatic Omicron-driven surge has passed its peak.
In the United States last week, Omicron accounted for 73% of new infections. The variant's responsible for an estimated 90% or more of new infections in the New York area, the Southeast, the industrial Midwest, and the Pacific Northwest. But this news from South Africa does offer some hope. Today, we're joined live by Dr. Ulysses Wu from Hartford HealthCare for more on that. Dr. Wu, thanks for joining us.
Hi there. Thank you for having me.
So this news and this data from South Africa, do you see that showing and kind of modeling what we might be seeing in the United States in the coming weeks and months?
Yeah, it's possible. So certainly Omicron has taken hold in the United States and is expected to become the dominant variant in the United States. But I don't think it's going to be very different from what we've seen in the past with not only other variants, but what we've seen in terms of our waves. Typically, we will see, for some reason or another, a 2-month surge where there will be a peak and then there will be a decrease. And then after 2 months, it starts decreasing. Now, a lot of this is due to different things. I think part of it is that you start experiencing immunity within a community. Others, there's for every action, there's equal and opposite reaction. And so the institution of safety health measures also contributes to this. We'll also see models and changes in behavior in terms of social distancing, less risky activities, more vaccinations, boosters, and masking. And so I think all of these will all contribute to, if we do see a rise, hopefully a decrease in Omicron.
So if we're looking at that timeline based on what we're seeing in South Africa, and again, who knows, but what timeline would we have here in the U.S.? Are we talking about the surge continuing through January and then maybe us seeing a drop in February?
So what I expect to happen at this point, Omicron is probably going to become the dominant variant in Connecticut probably fairly soon, if not by the end of the year, early next year at this point. Now, based off of our projections, if you take out Omicron, what we expected is with Delta, we would probably have a peak up until mid-January and it would start decreasing thereafter. But what happens with that, with Omicron being thrown in, as well as influenza, what will happen is maybe have a peak with Delta, maybe a small drop-off, and then a double-humped peak with Omicron and or influenza, and then hopefully a drop-off after that. Now, the question is, what are we going to follow? Are we going to follow cases, or are we going to follow hospitalizations? If Omicron is more mild, we certainly will see increases spike, but if it is more mild, hopefully hospitalizations will not surge as much.
That's the hope. Dr. Wu from Hartford HealthCare. We appreciate it as always. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.